Hey ladies, Catherine here, and today I want to talk all about why when you try to control your food more and the more you focus on nutrition and weight loss, the more you just want to eat. Am I right? I know you know what this feels like, and it is absolutely maddening and something that my clients come to me with every single day. So I really want to help explain why this is happening and then what you can do about it so that you can make your life a lot easier, right? So here we go. Let's dive right in. So, first things first, I want you to really think about what you're doing right now. How are you relating to food today, this week, this month? Do you feel like you're kind of just letting yourself eat whatever you want and it's a kind of a free for all right now and you're saying, F it, life is crazy. I can't think about this right now. So, if that's you, there are lots of people just like that. You are not alone. So, next up, are you someone who is micromanaging everything? Let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. You're tracking your food, you're being really careful about your macros, or you're on a very specific diet, like you're doing keto or paleo or just, another plan with a nutritionist or something like that, and you are really 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 hyper controlling what you eat, right? So either direction, you're kind of miserable, right? Life is a little bit harder than you want it to be, and you feel like food, like you're just thinking about it so much more than you really want to. And honestly, this is kind of one of those big secrets that I walk through with my clients of learning how to eat what you love, because the thing is that right now eating what you love and letting yourself have the things probably feels really scary to you, right? It's that kind of, oh my gosh, once I start I'm not going to be able to stop, and what do I do if it gets out of control, and oh my god, I can't gain weight again, or I don't want to gain any more weight, right? There's just so many feelings that come up and a lot of fear and scarcity. So we go one of two ways, right? We either go, it's kind of that all or nothing, right? We go all to, you know what, I'm just not going to think about this right now. I'm going to worry about this later. I don't have time for this. I'm just hiding, head in the sand. Don't want to think about it, right? Then the other side of the spectrum, the nothing side of the spectrum, is I'm not eating sugar, no alcohol, no pizza, nothing fun. I just nothing but, lettuce and chicken and, control, right? But the thing about that is that either direction, it actually can make things so much worse. So what happens is when you are hyper focusing on food, and that's really what I want to talk about today, and when you're really super controlling of what you can and cannot eat. Now, whether this is because you're trying to lose weight or because you're struggling with your gut health and or you're needing to eat a healthy healing diet, right? There's kind of a slippery slope that can come into place when you start really, getting stuck in that hyper controlling place, right? Because what happens is your scarcity gremlins start to kick in, right? Where it's just like, oh my gosh, a piece of pizza's in front of me or a cupcake's in front of me, and I haven't had one in such a long time, and that little gremlin inside of you, she starts thinking about, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get to have another one again? So I guess I better eat this one and all of it and super fast, right? Can you relate to that a little bit? Like, that's definitely happened to me too. And so I like to call the scarcity gremlin your inner wild child, because for me, it just feels like she's this little young, like wild woman who wants to eat what she wants. She only wants to have fun. She's my little hedonist within. Like, I even have a really strong visual of her, and just kind of that, like, she's all about treat yourself, YOLO, all the things, right? I mean, she's a good time. I'm not going to lie, but she definitely does not have my best interest at heart when it comes to my health and my well being, right? So the thing about it is though, if she gets to go unchecked, right? And that can happen in two different ways, whether you are hyper focusing on your food and so she's feeling like all of the things that you used to love feel scarce to her, like she can't have them. What happens is she just starts getting louder and louder and louder. And really, that's one of the best ways to really understand this, is to really allow yourself to externalize it. Because truth be told, that scarcity gremlin or your wild child, it actually isn't you. It's not you that's struggling with, being able to be, very particular about what you want to have, and know that you're doing it with your best interest in heart, and you're doing it because you love yourself, right? You are that grown, rational adult woman. So you know what you need, right? But the scarcity gremlin, or the wild child, she's a little girl. She doesn't have a clue, right? She's not responsible. She's a kid, and she's supposed to just be a kid, right? But she's not really the one seeing the bigger picture of life and understanding that, oh, well, we're just doing this for now, not forever, right? So that's really what happens when, we get so hyper focused and hyper aware. She wants to speak up. She gets really loud, and she's going to tell you what you need again and again and again until you give in to her. And or she's just going to make you kind of mentally crazy, right? So that's really where I find that my clients struggle the most, is when they, come to me and we start talking about this. They're like, you know what? I think about food 80 or 90% of my day. And I have better things to do. I have more important things to do. Sometimes it's about what I should be eating. Sometimes it's about what I shouldn't be eating. And sometimes I can control it. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I feel like I leave my body and I just walk to the fridge and late at night and I don't know how to stop it, right? And so, if that's you too, that's her. That's your wild child. That's all it is. And we just have to learn how to speak to her differently, and really help her understand that food isn't scarce, and that really hyper controlling your diet, all that's really doing is that's making it worse. So, one thing I want to ask you right now is you focusing on what you're eating and really being super strict and regimented? Is it making your life easier, or is it making your life harder right now? Do you find that you're thinking about food more when you're controlling things, or when you're thinking about food less, right? So now I say all of this just to help you build awareness. Now, this isn't saying that, the whole goal is that you go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, the all spectrum, right? Where you literally are doing whatever you want, whenever you want, and you don't care. So food freedom isn't about just saying F it and giving up and not worrying about it anymore. Even body acceptance and, health at every size and body love, that movement isn't about that either. It's not about just saying that, I I I don't care anymore, and whatever happens happens. It doesn't matter. Life's great, right? In Because the thing is about all of those different pieces of the puzzle is that you can be healthy at any size. You can feel good at different sizes, because everybody's body's different. Everybody's metabolism is different in the way in which they process their foods, right? So you can be at a weight at that weight, but um not feel good about what you're eating and be obsessed about it and hyper controlled too. So it doesn't really matter what size you are. It's really about how you feel about what you're doing and kind of your mentality when you're approaching eating. So if you're in that phase of I eat whatever I want, right? You're probably not feeling great. Your body probably is talking to you and telling you, oh God, could we please stop already? This is too much. Or maybe you feel like you're on a little bit of a runaway train. And sometimes what happens is when you let yourself kind of get going in that direction, you just want more and more and more, right? Where it starts where you binge a little bit, and maybe once a week or on the weekend, and then it starts snowballing into every night, and then your confidence and your self-worth and everything just kind of hits the skids, right? Where every day you're waking up and you feel like hell. So that's not a great place to be either. And I know you know this, right? So either way, it sucks. So what do we do? How do we learn how to live in the middle? How do we learn how to be in a body size that we like, that we want to be in, that feels good to us, right? Because you get to choose what that is for you and what feels best for you, because you know your body better than anybody else. So I think it's really important for you to know that, having food freedom isn't about being one weight or another. It's about how you feel on the inside about food. And it's about your wild child shutting up and sitting down so you can be the adult and you can make the choices you want and that feel really good to you, where you feel in control of those choices, right? Because what happens when you do that, when you're in that place where you're not feeling like a victim to food, and you're not binging all the time, and you're not feeling like you have to cope with food all the time. Food gets to be fun, it gets to be joyful, it gets to be, an expression of love, but it gets to be that expression on your terms rather than on your wild child's terms, right? Because your terms are probably a little different. Your terms are probably a little more civilized, a little bit more self honoring and self loving. And right now, with her being in charge, it may feel really nuts and really out of control. And like, if you don't go straight into controlling your food, you're not going to be able to handle it. But that's not what I want for you. I don't want for you to swing back and forth in the all or nothing. That's what the yo yo dieting place of life, because it's really miserable. The whole spectrum's really rough. But what we do in order to learn how to really harness that and help you get to a place where you feel more at peace about food is, one, loosening the reins a little bit on the control. Loosening the reins and understanding that if you are someone who, when you start to control more, she gets louder and she starts driving you nuts and it gets worse and all you want to do is eat all the time, is understand that that's not helpful. So most people, most women do this again and again throughout their entire life, right? That just a cycle up and down with your weight and with food. And it's always, I'm going to start this thing next week or next month. And it's the worst, right? Because all of your life, all you're thinking about is when you're going to do that next plan, when you're going to get strict again, when you're going to let yourself go all out, when you're in all that whole time, you're just feeling exhausted and totally depleted. Your metabolism's all over the place, your weight's all over the place, and nobody's happy about it, right? So what we do is really, first, we get really self-aware. Like I always say, self-awareness is your superpower. It allows you to really understand how all of this, all of these trainings, how this whole mindset relates to you uniquely. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is this something that's a problem for me? Am I finding that the more I control, the worse it gets? Or as soon as I relinquish control, do I go all out and go nuts, right? So if you know that you're swinging from end to end and you want to be done, first thing you do is just loosen the reins a little bit. If you're in the nothing category and you're in that place of super controlled and super restriction, and then you're going to start developing a relationship with your wild child, right? You're just going to talk to her. You're going to visualize her, imagine what she's like, so that y'all can start having a conversation and you can start talking to her about what she really needs, right? What does she want? And really be able to help her feel more comfortable and more secure around food. Now, this is a process, right? This takes time, this takes intention, it takes doing some focused work to really help you do this in a way that feels real to you and not like you're kind of crazy visualizing things, right? It takes practice learning how to shift this part of your relationship with food where you get to learn how to feel more in control, more, in charge of your ship, more comfortable around food, so that you can go to that birthday party and have one cupcake instead of 5, right? You can, have birthday cake on your birthday and really enjoy it and not go into a full out binge, but still feel celebrated, right? You can go out to dinner or to happy hour with your friends, and be able to enjoy the foods that you have, but not be constantly staring at the plate of nachos and not paying attention to what your friends are saying, right? There is a middle ground. There really, really is. And so what I'll say is if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum and you're in the all phase of life right now and you're really struggling and you have this voice in the back of your head that's telling you, we got to get strict again. We've got to start controlling again. You start having that gremlin show up, right? Your inner critic is really whooping your butt and being awful to you. If you're on that side of the spectrum and your wild child's just in the corner so happy and so full, she's not saying anything because she's feeling very good, right? But the inner critic is starting to pop up. I want you to then ask yourself, how do you really want this to be? What would you rather happen? How would you like to eat? What would feel really good to you? What does middle ground look like? What does feeling really in control and in command of what you eat in a way that is self-honoring, that allows you to have the foods that you love, that allows you to feel not like your wild child is going crazy around food, where it's not control as in controlling, but like you, the adult, are in charge rather than that wild little girl, right? What would that look like to you, and how would it feel? How much less often would you think about food all the time if really food just got to kind of be food, and you had you had things that you wanted, and you made some self-honoring choices and had a vegetable here and there, and your body started naturally starting craving some of those other foods, and your taste buds changed a little bit, and you were able to eat the things that you loved, but it didn't stress you out, right? I want you to sit there and I want you to imagine that, and I want you to resist the urge to go back into hyper controlling, right? I want you to literally think about it like a giant swing or a seesaw or whatever it is that you want to think about, and just really imagine what it would be like to only come into the middle rather than be all the way on the other end of the spectrum and get back on a super restrictive program. Because the last thing that I will say about this and the swinging back and forth and being at war with your inner critic on one side and at war with your inner wild child on the other side is that no one wins. You lose every time, and you deserve better than that. And the thing about it is that it's okay if this has been your experience. This was my experience for, dear God, over 20 years of my life. So I get it. I see you and I understand. And the thing about this is that the reason this has been happening is because nobody has taught you that there is a different way to do this. And it's all about making some internal shifts rather than about doing more or doing less. It's about looking at how you're relating to food, why you're turning to food in the first place, so that you can cut it at the root cause rather than swinging on the pendulum for the rest of your life. So, what I want you to do this week is I want you to really get clear, sit with yourself, and ask yourself these questions. How am I relating to food right now? Is controlling it making it worse or better, right? Is letting myself loose and taking off the reins and unzipping the belt making it worse or better? And how would it feel to live in the middle? So that's really what I want you to do, and I want you to focus on that this weekend, and I want you to get clear about how you want to eat, what you want to be doing, right? Where the wild child and the inner critic are sitting down in the corner, you are the adult in the room feeling in charge of yourself and your life and feeling really good about your food and what you're doing and what you're eating and your weight and your body and all of the good stuff, right? So that is the plan this week. And if you want to talk about this and you want some really customized guidance on how to make this happen for yourself, or if you just have some questions and you want to understand more about what all of this means and how to actually make this advice in particular about letting yourself loosen the reins a little bit actually work for you, right? Then I want you to just book a free call with me. It is something that I gift to all of my members of my group. It's really important that you feel really supported here and that you feel like you've got the guidance that you need. So if you want to do that, I will post the link below, but you can also go to riseholistichealth.com/sign-up and just get on my schedule. We'll have a 30-minute call. We'll talk it through. I am happy to support you and just help you feel like this makes sense to you and works for your life, because that's really, really important. Because the thing about all of this is so not one size fits all. I know people say that, but my God, it's so true. You have your own experience in life. You have so many different pieces of the puzzle and, different modeling that you've experienced and different traumas and different all the things that have shaped your relationship with food in your body. So you cannot just sit here and say this is this blanket statement for everyone, right? You are going to relate to food so differently than the next woman in this group or who is watching this. And so I want you to know that it's really important that it works for you and that it feels right for you. It feels authentic to you, because otherwise it's not going to work. Just like hyper controlling your food isn't working either. Am I right? So I hope you have a wonderful day today and feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with you, and I am so happy to have you here. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.